Bad news, Facebook recently announced that it would start showing adverts in its VR headsets. Good news, it said that it would only expand this offering based on user feedback, which means in theory, this is just a temporary issue, as nobody in the history of mankind has ever said, please inject adverts directly into my eyeballs. Or have they?
You see, Facebook is running two companies. The first is a social network designed to get as much of our data as possible. The second is an ad platform that's powered by that data to target us with adverts, thoughts and opinions that they want us to see. They give Facebook billions while we give them nothing, so it's no wonder they're a little distracted. But is it purely about money, or is there another reason why Facebook wants to own VR?
Part 1. Facebook's users. For as long as there's been people, there's been adverts. And as long as there's been adverts, there's been amoral advertisers willing to spunk their money to tell you how great their product is. In the 1800s, marketing pioneer and professional poser John Wanamaker said, "Half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. The trouble is, I don't know which half." Ever since then, instead of trying to solve cancer or homelessness, advertisers have worked round the clock to try and minimise uncertainty for the brands they're trying to sell. Adverts on the London Underground are sold based on how popular that platform is. If 100,000 people walk past a poster every week, it's likely some of them will see and notice it, and therefore TfL can charge more. Online, the same thing happens. Adverts are charged by the number of impressions they get, but impressions are not always accurate, and sometimes they're seen by people who don't have any interest in that product or service. Now, we can't have that now, can we?
This is what every business has always dreamt of, to have a guarantee that if it places an ad, it will be successful.
Part 2. Surveillance capitalism.
It's long been understood that capitalism evolves by taking things that are outside of the market. They do not have a price. They are not commodities. And finding ways to drag them into the market sphere so that they are able to be bought and sold. Fast forward to the 21st century, surveillance capitalism. And that is the idea that you could take private human experience. You could drag it into the marketplace and call it behavioral data. You create whole new markets based on not just selling behavioral data, but selling the computational inferences and predictive analyses from behavioral data that allow interested business customers to lay bets on what we will do now, soon, and later.
Isn't capitalism fun? Part 3. Our data. The data Facebook gets from its app and website is not fixed and is constantly changing, but biometric data doesn't change, unless you're a big fan of plastic surgery and have a lot of money. Think fingerprint or iris scanners. This is why Facebook is moving heavily into collecting our biometric data. It did this illegally on Instagram last year, and now both Facebook and Instagram use biometric data to log you in or verify your accounts. 93% of communication is non-verbal.
Once more for the people at the back.
93% of communication is non-verbal body language. So if you thought the data that Facebook was mining on you couldn't get any worse, you're dead wrong. It's just the tip of the iceberg. What we write in WhatsApp or Messenger or share on Facebook and Instagram is at most 7% of our communication data. Facebook need more than that to predict or manipulate our future actions. Professor of Communication at Stanford University, Jeremy Bailison, worked out that just 20 minutes in a VR game can register 2 million unique body language recordings. Facebook can now read your body language and predict your mood, and your mood is your best indicator into how you're going to act in the future. They don't care that you're shit at Minecraft. What they care about is being able to read your facial features in order to plug that data into their personality test so they can predict things about you. Things ranging from your political beliefs to your sexual orientation. Shakira was right. Your hips don't lie. Your movements can be used to identify you. You can see an early example of this in the 1997 documentary Saturday Night Fever, where in this footage of John Travolta, you can tell by the way he uses his walk he's a woman's man. No time to talk. Part 4. Facebook and VR. Facebook has tried time and time again to clone features, websites, apps and tools to gain more and more market share. I would argue at this stage they know that to own a space you need to be first into it and ring fence it off from all your competitors. So by buying Oculus, they've done exactly this, because now they have 53% of the market. This is why they now require you to log in using your Facebook ID in VR headsets. And I'm sure down the line, they'll ask for an eye scan or a poo sample or whatever they need to verify you're the person you say you are. And we'll do it. It is said in capitalism that we eventually will run out of things to sell, and we might already be there. Given that most of the world's resources are tied up in a handful of monopolies, it makes sense for Facebook to invest now in a brand new virtual digital world. Part 5. The idea of free will. Let's get nerdy. In the groundbreaking book Straw Dogs, John Gray explores the fallacy of free will and how it is, quote, merely a concept that helps us make sense of the world, and that, quote, all our actions are nothing but an endpoint in a long sequence of unconscious responses. Studies have shown that the brain can enact decisions up to 7 seconds before we've ever become consciously aware of making that choice. A lack of free will, or at least the ability to manipulate it over time with unconscious triggers, can be interpreted in one of two ways. A fascinating quirk of life. Perhaps the 7-second delay is just a consequence of a quantum process we're yet to fully understand.
You know, like your fun aunt who thinks rocks have memories but science hasn't proved it yet.
Or something far more sinister, because if we're not in control of our minds, who or what is? Just because your mind hasn't consciously taken in an advert's message doesn't mean your subconscious hasn't noticed it. So by Facebook owning this new digital world, it decides what you see, when you see it, and how often. You don't own your VR headset. It owns you. Thanks very much for watching. If you've got any thoughts on Facebook and VR, if you could just drop them in the comments below, I'd love to read them. Also, if you've got no thoughts and you just want to help me out, you can write commenting for the algorithm. It's all the same for the AI gods.